Who am I? If you haven't been to the previous webinar, my name is Alon. I manage Flashissue development and support. So I know the product pretty well, obviously. I won't get into too much details. That's what I do. If you have issues with Flashissue, and they're big issues, they usually end up on my table. And I also sometimes answer your support tickets, but we also have Destiny that does that most of the time. So what we're going to talk about today, we have about 1 hour. I hope we don't need more time like last time. It took us a bit longer. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to cover a few of the questions that we got after the last webinar. And I just want to thank everyone that sent your questions. It's great to see that you're engaged and you're interested. It's really great for us to see that. So we're going to cover the photo editor just to see a few options there that people asked about. Then a few options that Flashissue has in kind of a bit hidden in the settings that you might not be aware of. Again, as a response to questions that people had. Then I just want to quickly look at last month's webinar just to show you how many questions we've already answered in that webinar, and the recording is available, so we'll see how you can look at that. And then really what the main event for tonight is, not tonight, for me it's tonight, but maybe for you it's today, is to talk about deliverability. We had a lot of questions about messages ending in promotions, in the promotions tab, or in the spam folder, or not being delivered to your recipients. And what I want to do is really cover deliverability, give you some explanations how email gets delivered, and why sometimes it seems like it's not delivered all the way through. And of course, give you a few tips on how you can improve your deliverability and make sure your emails end up in the recipient's inbox. And since this is the last webinar for 2020, I want to give you a sneak preview into what we're going to bring into Flashissue at the first quarter of 2021. So let's get on with it, okay? So the first thing I wanted to show is the photo editor. We got a few questions about this. I just want to give you a quick demo of what's possible, just so you know what you can do with it. And there's a few little quirks there that it's important to understand. So let's try to cover those. So let me just jump into Flashissue over here. So this is my Flashissue account from, it's the same newsletter I created in the previous webinar. I hope everyone can see it okay already. So I have this photo here. This is my awesome wife. She's a surfer. So let's say I want to edit this photo. I want to change it a bit. I can just click on the edit image button, and you can also do it on any other image, not just the banner image. And this will open up the photo editor. So one of the questions we got was very specific, and I just want to cover that before I move forward. Someone asked us, how can I change the color of the shapes? How can I change the color of the shapes that are added to the photo, because they're all blue? And when I click on shapes, and I don't know, let's select an arrow, that's right, it's blue, right? And it doesn't seem like there's a way to change it. I can rotate it, I can play with it, but I can't change the color. But that's not true. If I click on apply on this button here, then I'll see I have all the different options. So I can click on color now and change it to red and do whatever I want with it. And when I when I click on the arrow again, I can change all the different options. And that's how you really can control the colors. But what I really wanted to show about this photo editor here is that you don't have to worry about playing around, okay? So if I made a mistake here, I don't want this arrow, I just hit this delete button here and it's gone. And if I make a mistake there and I want it back, I can click on the undo button over here and I can bring it back. There we go. I can click on undo and bring it back. So you can really play around with the editor. You can use, you can add text. You can add little stickers. There's some nice fun stuff here. You can add frames. you can change the corner, like make it rounded if you wanted to. You can really make, sorry, I clicked off the screen for a moment there, apologies. Let's go back to editing the image. You can really do whatever you want. And the good thing is that unless you hit the save button, nothing happens. So this is all temporary. I can add arrows galore everywhere if I want to, but unless I hit the save button over here, it's not going to change my newsletter. So if I made a mistake, I can just click anywhere on the screen just to close it, and nothing happened. And if I click on save, then it actually saves the image and replaces the image in the newsletter. I encourage you all to explore the photo editor. It can do quite a lot. I know it seems like a little toy inside Flashissue, but you can do a lot with it. You can resize the image, you can resample it, you can run filters on it. It's pretty powerful and it's free. It comes with Flashissue, so why not use it, right? It's a good feature. And that was the photo editor. Just something quick I wanted to show you.
Quick aside, Alon. Gina's saying she does not have the same image options for editing a picture.
Okay, so it's sometimes a bit different. With the banner image, it looks like this, edit the image, okay? But if I edit the image inside a block, like we have over here, we have a lot of text and an image, and I click on it. Now, if I want to edit the image, I actually have to double click the image here, and then I'll get this open image editor button, and now I can edit it. Okay, so if you don't see the edit image button, that's how you get to it. I hope that answers your question. That's one of the things we're going to improve in 2021. We'll talk about it a bit later, but for now, that's how you can access the image editor from within a text block. I hope that covers that. So moving on, we got a few other questions. And the first one I want to talk about is the full screen editor option. So we recently updated Flashissue. So in the past, when you click on a block like this one, this is how it would look like. You'd had an editor. It would be like a pop-up within the main screen. If you use this inside of Gmail with the Chrome extension, sometimes it felt a little cramped. You know, there wasn't enough space to edit everything comfortably. So we recently changed the default, but if you've been a Flashissue user for a while, you might still use this pop-up editor. So what you can do, if you click on your account name at the top right of Flashissue, and then click Settings, you'll see a bunch of options. I'll cover a few of them, but the first one I want to look at is this Use Full Screen Editor option. And if I check this, if I enable it and click on Save Settings, then now when I click to edit a text box, you see the editor fills up the entire screen. It makes it much easier to work with long text. It's much more convenient this way. The full toolbar is much more usable. So I highly recommend switching over to the full screen editor. Once you change the setting, you don't have to do it again. You only have to do it once, and Flashissue saves the setting for you. You can, if you prefer, you can go back and disable it and go back to the pop-up editor. Personally, I think the full screen editor is much better and much more convenient. So that's the first setting I wanted to show. The second setting option I wanted to show is how to disable click tracking. So when you send a newsletter from Flashissue, to make sure that we can track any clicks on the links in the newsletter, what we do, we actually change the links to run through Flashissue first. So when they click the link, they get to Flashissue, we record the click, and then it's forwarded to the original URL. But if you use Flashissue inside of a business, inside of an enterprise, then sometimes the change in the URL will mean that your recipients will not be able to access the document. For example, if it's like an internal website, an internal document that can only be accessed from within your network, then in those cases, you might want to just disable click tracking, which means Flashissue will not change the URL at all. It's very easy to do. Again, you click on the account name at the top right, and then click on settings and scroll down and you see disable click tracking. And I just hit save settings and that's it. Now, when I send a newsletter, it won't change the links at all. But of course, it also means that I don't get the clicks in the reports. So that's kind of a trade-off you have to do here. But just so you know, it's an option. It's mostly useful for internal communications with Flashissue. And the last thing I wanted to show is how to access your invoices and update your credit card. It's something that people ask a lot about, and it's so easy to do. Again, you just click on your account name and then on account, and you can see a lot of information here. So first of all, you can see which plan you're on. You can see how many emails you have left this month. So it says quota 9 out of 250 emails used. So I still have some emails left. Another thing you can do here is update your address and company name. This is the information that we put in the footer at the end of each newsletter. We always add this information that you see here. We have to comply with anti-spam laws. It has to be part of every email that's sent. So if you want to change something, like if we rename Flashissue to the Flashissue company, I could just go to my account page and change it here. And the last thing you can do with this page is really, if you click on view and edit credit card details, you'll get to the billing panel. And here you can have access to all your invoices. Very convenient. You can download all your invoices. You can update your billing information, like add a company name, update the credit card number, all self-service. You don't have to contact us to do it. You don't have to wait for us to respond. It's very easy to do. And that's the account settings and the full screen editor and the disabling of click tracking. Just a few questions we got. So I just wanted to quickly answer those. Now, we got a few other questions that were actually already answered in last month's webinar. It was a pretty good one. We covered a lot. So we really covered a lot there. And sorry, there we go. We covered a lot of topics, and we covered the content curation sidebar, how to use images, templates, custom link types, personalization codes, how to share documents instead of attaching them. That was the questions we got for this webinar too. We explained why newsletters can be wider than they are, why we don't allow custom fonts, how to handle the Clipper extension not being visible. So we covered a lot of topics. So if we haven't covered your question in this webinar, maybe we already covered it in the previous one. Just head over to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/flashissue. And you can see last month's webinar and the one before that. So the first webinar was about marketing. It was done by Lior, our CEO, and my brother. He's a wizard in email marketing. It's worth listening to. So if we haven't answered your questions today, maybe we answered it in the last webinar. And if we haven't done that, ask it again. Maybe we'll be able to answer it in the next webinar. So the main topic I wanted to cover today was deliverability. We got a lot of questions about like, how do I avoid getting into spam? Why does my message get to the promotions tab? Why do my messages sometimes bounce when I know the email is okay? So what I wanted to do is use this webinar to explain some concepts around email deliverability, and also give you a few ideas of what you can do to improve the deliverability of your own newsletters. So let's dive into this. So how does Flashissue deliver email? I mean, we're not Gmail, right? Flashissue is not part of Google or any other email provider. We are our own company. So when you send an email, a newsletter from Flashissue, it gets sent in two possible ways. we either send it through Google. So if in some cases, when we send a newsletter for you, we actually do it through your Google account. So it's very similar to if you manually sent it through Gmail, but of course, we send it to each recipient individually, and we add all the images and all the formatting. But at the end, we take the newsletter, the prepared newsletter, and give it to Google and tell Google, please send it on behalf of that person. And when we do that, the deliverability rates are usually really high because the message comes directly from Gmail. And when that happens, then usually if you end up in spam or not, it really depends on the content of your newsletter. But sometimes we cannot send your email through Google. We have to send it through our own server, through Flashissue. And it depends on two factors. First of all, the number of contacts we need to send the message to. And the second is, are you sending the newsletter from your own email address? And let's see what that means. So first of all, it's important to understand that Google has a hard limit on the number of messages that can be sent from a Google email account. So for a gmail.com address, a free email account, you can send up to 500 messages per day. This is not Flashissue, this is Gmail, right? So if you go to Gmail, your gmail.com address, and you start sending messages, around the 500th message, Google will just show you a message saying your account is blocked. It's not blocked forever, it's okay. It's just paused for like 24 hours or sometimes a bit less than that because you've reached a limit. So that's a limit that Google has on your account. This includes replies and sends. It's not just sending a message. It's sending a message and replying it to a message. Really, everything counts. If you have your own custom domain, so if you have GSuite, so your address is not a gmail.com address, but your own custom domain, then that limit is 2,000 per day, which is a huge difference, right? So that means that if you use Flashissue with a gmail.com address and you want to send a newsletter to a list that has more than 500 recipients, and to be honest, probably even a bit less than that, we can't send it through Google because at some point Google is going to tell us, I'm sorry, this person sends too many emails from his account or her account, they have to wait. Now, you can tell Flashissue what should be the threshold. So by default, if you have a gmail.com address, whenever you try to send to more than 250 recipients in the list, we automatically send the message through Flashissue and not through Gmail. Why is that? Because if you send a newsletter to 250 people and then you want to keep using your Gmail account that day, you might end up hitting that limit. And then you're blocked. You know, it's a major issue. But if you trust yourself, if you know that you're not going to go over the 500 limit, then you can change it. To do this, you just click on your account name in Flashissue, then click on delivery options, and you'll see the screen here. And you change the limit from 250 to something else. What we're seeing here is a screenshot of a gmail.com address, and that's why it says the limit, the maximum is 500. If you use a custom domain, it will show you the maximum is 2,000. Now, if you use send as, we also can send the messages through Google. And this is what I mean. So in Flashissue, you can, if you click on the from name, you can add other addresses. And when you send the message from Flashissue, it's going to appear as if it's being sent from some other address, not your gmail.com address. But when we do that, we cannot send the message from Gmail because Google doesn't allow that. And we'll explain why in a few minutes. So basically, if you're sending to a really large list, or if you're using a different sender name, we cannot send it through Google. We have to send a message through Flashissue servers. And when we do that, it affects deliverability because of three things. SPF, DKIM, DKIM, and DMARC, DMARC. And I know what you're thinking. This is what you're thinking right now. And you're right. These are some confusing concepts, but I'm going to explain them to you. At least I'm going to try. So I'm going to explain a few technical things now. I hope you don't fall asleep in the middle, but I assure you there's an end game here. There's a reason why I'm explaining this. So we have to understand something about email. Email was created in the 70s as a toy. You know, it wasn't meant to become what it became, what we know of it today. And one of the major issues with email is it's hard to know if a message really comes from the person that says, the message is coming from. So you've all gotten the Nigerian prince scam email at some point, right? Someone sends you an email and tells you, hey, I'm a prince from Nigeria, and if you send me some money, I'll send you some more money. Or you might have gotten a phishing email that says it's from eBay, but it's not from eBay. It just looks like it's from eBay. But when you open it, Gmail tells you this is a risky message. It's probably not from eBay. Now, how does Gmail know that this message is not what it says it is? And that's where we come to those three terms: SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. So let's take a quick crash course in email delivery terminology. So the first standard that was created a while back is SPF. It doesn't matter what the acronym stands for, but what SPF means, it gives the email server that receives a message, right? So if I send a message to Maya or Karen, then the server that receives the message looks at it, and it can use SPF to check a very simple thing. Did this message come from a server that is allowed to send messages for that address? So if I'm sending the message from my from a flashissue.com address, then and checking SPF means verifying that the message originated from Flashissue, from a server that flashissue.com agrees that messages are sent from it. So that's SPF. Is Flashissue allowed to send emails on behalf of your company.com? That's kind of the first level of defense of checks that email services do. The next level is DKIM. That's a slightly newer standard, and it does something a bit different. What DKIM means it adds a digital signature to the message itself. So it doesn't only verify that the server that sent the message is allowed to send messages from that domain, it also verifies that no one changed the contents of the messages in the middle. So it kind of tries to stop hackers from modifying emails before they reach their targets. In other words, it just checks if the email's digital signature is valid or not. So that's SPF and DKIM. The third and more complex standard is DMARC, DMARC. And what DMARC does, it combines SPF and DKIM to let you define what to do with a message that doesn't seem to be authentic. So if I send a message and the SPF checks fails or the DKIM check fails, then the server that receives the message needs to decide what to do. They can ignore it and just say, I don't care. I will deliver any message that comes my way. Most email services will not do that. So there are two options here. Either the receiving server says, I'll decide if it's spam or not, or the other option is DMARC. With DMARC, the owner of the domain, so if I own flashissue.com, I can set up a DMARC instruction or DMARC option that tells everyone that receives a flashissue.com email that if SPF or DKIM fail, I want to automatically flag the message as spam, or I want them to automatically bounce it, or I want them to automatically quarantine it and send it to me for inspection. So DMARC is a way for the owner of the domain to tell all the other email services in the world what to do when a message says it comes from this domain, but probably isn't. So we have 3 levels of checks: SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. You don't have to be an expert to understand it, and you probably never have to deal with it yourself. But I wanted to explain this because of what it means for Flashissue and other email services. And I hope everyone is still awake. I know it's a bit boring and a bit technical, but trust me, there's a reason we're talking about this. Now, why did I explain this? When you send a message from Flashissue and you're using a gmail.com address, but you're sending it to a large list, we cannot send it through Gmail, right? We cannot send it through Google because we explained earlier, there's a hard limit on the number of emails you can send per day. So we have to send it through Flashissue. But there's a problem. Google has a very strict DMARC settings for gmail.com. It says something very simple. If a message is sent and it says that it comes from a gmail.com address, but it wasn't delivered directly from one of Google's servers, don't accept it. That's what Google tells all the other email services in the world using its DMARC settings. So it means that Flashissue and any other email service, not just us, when you try to send something through a gmail.com address and it's not possible to send it through Google itself because of the daily limit of emails, we have to modify the address. So what we do, we change the address a bit. So we actually send it from one of our domains, not from your domain, not from gmail.com. But if someone hits reply to your message, they still go straight to your gmail.com address. It's not something we invented. It's a trick, well, not a trick. It's a workaround used by all email services. So that's the effect of these standards, SPF and DKIM and DMARC on deliverability when you're using a gmail.com address. When you use a custom domain, so if you're a GSuite user and you have your own custom domain, so your email doesn't end with gmail.com, but flashissue.com or yourcompany.com, then there's a really good solution, because what we can do, we can authenticate your domain with Flashissue, basically enabling SPF DKIM for your domain for emails sent from Flashissue. It doesn't require much from you. You just have to add a few settings in your DNS. If you don't know what that means, we'll help you figure it out. There's no extra charge for this. Just contact us at support@flashissue.com to get this done. It can take up to 2 days to finish this process, just because we have to wait, not because there's 2 days of work here. But I highly recommend it. So if you're using a custom domain and you're sending to a large list of recipients, I highly recommend contacting us and authenticating your domain with Flashissue to improve SPF and DKIM support and greatly improve your deliverability. And that was a crash course in SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. I hope it wasn't too much for you. Now to the more interesting aspect. So what can you do to improve deliverability? If you use a gmail.com address, then the biggest thing you can do to improve deliverability is to make sure that your emails can be sent through Google instead of Flashissue servers. To do that, first of all, you might want to consider sending to smaller lists and just send it in chunks. So send to one part of your list today and then another part of your list tomorrow if you have a big list. Another trick is to set up a dedicated gmail.com address that you only use to send newsletters. The reason this makes sense is that if I'm going to use my personal email address, the one that I use all day, every day, then all the emails I send throughout the day, they count towards my Google daily limit, right? So if I send 100 emails today, and then I go to Flashissue and I send a newsletter to 400 people, then I've reached my 500 emails limit, right? But if I set up a dedicated gmail.com address that I only use for Flashissue, then I can squeeze out the entire 500 emails per day limit, the Google limit, right? Not the Flashissue limit. So those are two things that you can do. If you have your own custom domain, then I highly recommend you contact us to authenticate the domain with us. There's another little thing you can do if you don't have access to the domain settings, or if you can't access DNS, if you can't authenticate your domain with us, then there's another little workaround. If you go to the settings in Flashissue, you'll see an option to enable the DMARC feature. It will deliver email. It will deliver your emails, but it won't necessarily improve your deliverability by a lot. So really the best option is to authenticate your domain with us. But of course, content matters too. It actually matters a lot. So at the end of the day, everything I explained so far, that's all on the email server level. So this is like the technical stuff. Is the email genuine? Is it valid? Does it come from a real sender? Is it coming from an approved server? But then there's another level. So each email server that receives a message looks at it and has to decide, should I put this in the person's inbox, spam, promotions, updates, all kinds of different folders. And this is tricky because there are no rules here, right? First of all, each email service has their own idea of what is spam and how to detect it. So there's no one size fits all solution, but there are a few rules of thumb. The first is keep your newsletters short if you can do it, right? So if you can create shorter newsletters, it's better. The longer an email, the more likely it is to be considered as a spam or promotion, simply because most emails are not that long. The second thing you should look into is the style of writing that you use. So if you write ad copy, like if your entire newsletter is buy now, get it now, discount now, if everything is clickbait, Gmail knows it. Google knows this stuff. They invented it, right? Google knows this, Outlook knows this, Yahoo.com knows it. They know when a message is all about marketing and promotion. So what you should try, if you can, is try to write like you'd write to a person. Don't write ad copy. Don't write to your newsletter recipients. Write to a person. Keep it simple. Use simple English. Use short sentences. Just write like you would write a personal email to someone. And you'll see that you won't be marked as promotions or spam as much, simply because of the style of writing you use. Simple English is best. And the last tip I want to make, this is something people aren't aware of sometimes. If your email address is in the recipient's contacts or address book, there's a higher chance of not falling into spam or promotions. So I know it sounds silly, but it's true. It's true. So if I send a message from Alon at flashissue.com to Maya or Karen, and they have me in their contacts, I'm more likely to hit their inbox than if they don't have me. So I would just ask your recipients, you want to make sure you see my messages? Great, add me to your contacts. I know it sounds like a simple idea, but it's pretty effective, more effective than you might think. And that was what I wanted to talk about in terms of deliverability.
Can I pop in one question? John on the Q&A just asked, how big is big for an email list? Like what do you mean when you say if you have a big list? Okay, that's a good question. So when I say a big list, I'm looking at, again, let me just jump back to that slide over there. There we go. So basically, Google, not Flashissue, Google has a limit on a gmail.com address. So if
for a gmail.com address, you can only send up to 500 messages a day, emails a day. So if your list is more than 500, has more than 500 recipients in it, then we cannot deliver it through a gmail.com address. We have to deliver it through Flashissue. If you're on GSuite and you have a custom domain, then the limit is 2,000 per day. So if you try to send a newsletter to more than 2,000 recipients, we cannot deliver it through Google. Instead, we have to deliver it through Flashissue servers. So when I say a large list, I'm talking about these limits. What I would do, I would actually, if the limit is 500, I would say you should put your limit around 350 or 400, just so you have some buffer, you know, so you can still use your gmail.com inbox. Same goes for the GSuite limit. If it's 2,000, make sure you cap your list at around 1,800. Otherwise, you might lose access to your inbox for 24 hours. So that's what I meant by a large list, right? If you're sending to thousands of people every time, then it always runs through Flashissue servers. And in that case, I highly recommend that you contact us to do this, to authenticate your domain with Flashissue. It will really help with your deliverability. I hope that answers the question. Are there more questions before I jump on to what's coming in next year?
There's one more. If you open a separate Gmail account to send Flashissue newsletters, would this be a separate plan, or will it be on the plan with the email address you originally opened it with?
I love this question. I love this question because it lets me talk about our team features, and it's one of the lesser known options in Flashissue. So no, you don't need to buy a separate subscription to do this. Let me show you how you can do this without buying another subscription. So this is my Flashissue account. It's on my Gmail account, alon.weinstein@gmail.com. Let's say I open another email address, another gmail.com address, and I want to send messages from it, but I don't want to buy another plan, Flashissue subscription. I don't have to. You go, you click on your account name, and then you click on Team Invites and Settings. So with every Flashissue account, you can invite other users into your subscription. So you can see here, I have verified users on your plan, and this is another email address that I have, alonwn@automailchimp.com. And what that means is that I can log into Flashissue with my other email address. So literally open a separate Chrome browser, log into that address and log into Flashissue, and then I can send emails from Flashissue with that other email address, but it will use the subscription from my main account here. So that's the best way to do this. Just add your other email address to your team and just log into Flashissue from that address and use it there. You don't need to buy a separate account from that. You can just add more addresses into your team. I hope that explains it. That solves that question. Anything else we have?
Two more questions. One real quick one from Vidrale Franklin. Is the user email limit per day or per month?
It's per day. And again, it's important to remember, this is a Google hard limit. This is not Flashissue, right? So even if you don't use Flashissue, if you try to send more than 500 messages per day from your Gmail account, it will be blocked. If you try to send more than 2,000 messages per day from your GSuite account, it will be blocked. So that's a per day limit that Google has on gmail.com and GSuite accounts. It has, just to make this clear, this has nothing to do with your Flashissue subscription monthly quota, right? So when the process of is the message sent from Google or through Google or through Flashissue, that's transparent to you. If your monthly Flashissue quota is 10,000 sends, you will be able to send 10,000 emails. Not all of them maybe not all of them will be sent through your Google account. Some of them might be directed to Flashissue, but you'll be able to send them. So that limit is really just for your Google account itself. I hope it explains it. I know it's a bit tricky, but I hope that explains it.
And the final question, this one's from Kelly. She actually had written it in earlier, so you might have planned to answer it later. I had written in ahead of time. I have 495 people on my list, but only 150 people open my email each time. How can I delete all those who are not opening the mail?
Okay, is that the last question? Just want to know.
Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay, perfect. Because that's a lovely segue to what's coming in in 2021, and that's one of the features that we're going to bring in soon, because 2021 is just around the corner, right? So let's see what's coming for Flashissue next year. First of all, 2021 is going to be awesome because we earned it. I think the entire world earned an awesome year. I don't know what about you. I've had enough with 2020. I'm ready for the next year. And Flashissue is also going to be ready for the next year. Everything I'm going to talk about here is already being tested. So all of these features are coming in the first quarter of 2021. Some of them are likely to come in the first few weeks of 2021. So let's see what's coming. And you know what, before I'm going to say what's coming, I just want you to notice something. All the features that I've highlighted with a yellow background, these are all features that we created as a result of you guys suggesting them. So these are all features that Flashissue users asked us, can we do this? And we're bringing all of them next year. So first of all, we're going to improve reports. So you'll be able to see when a message was opened by each subscriber. You'll be able to see who clicked each link and when they did that. We're going to add new reports. So we're going to add a report that tells you who did not open the message and who did not click a link. We're also going to let you create a report that isn't limited to a single newsletter. So if you wanted to see a report for a list, show me all the subscribers that did not open any of my messages in the last 2 months, you'll be able to do that. Okay, so we're really going to improve the reports. That's going to be really useful. We're also enhancing the list management capabilities of Flashissue. Specifically, we're going to let you add more information about your subscribers. So you'll be able to add custom fields like the location or the city, maybe a phone number if it makes sense for you, or gender, really whatever you want to track, whatever makes sense for you to track. And you'll be able to add this information to the newsletter itself. So for example, if you record the name of the city of your subscribers, you'll be able, and the city is Atlanta, you'll be able to add this in the message itself, just like you add the first name and the last name to the subject line and the newsletter. And we're also going to add tags. Tags is a really powerful feature that's coming. With tags, you'll be able to send newsletters to segments from a list. So for example, if you have a list called customers, you'll be able to send to all the customers with a certain tag. So all the customers that have the tag bought the product or have the tag did not buy yet. I know it's a bit high level right now, but as we come closer to releasing these features, we'll create more training videos to show exactly how to use them. Next up, we're going to improve the editor. And I love these two features that are coming, again, straight out of your mouth. Both of them are ideas that we got from our users. Custom blocks. Custom blocks is going to be immensely useful for you guys. So what this will let you do is take any block in a newsletter. Let me just open Flashissue here. So imagine having the option to go into a newsletter and grab any content block like this one here and just hit a button and save it. And then in any future newsletter, you'll be able to grab that content block and put it inside the newsletter. It's like having templates for parts of a newsletter. You'll be able to create a library of custom blocks that you can then reuse again and again in your newsletters. I'm loving this feature. I'm already using it internally. You'll see it's really, really great. Color palettes, another, this actually came from the last webinar. I can't remember the name of the users who asked for it, but I love that idea. It's even recorded and I say that I love it. I loved it. Color palettes will let you define a color palette for a template. What color should all the links be at? What are the allowed background colors? Stuff like that. And when you save a template, the color palette will be saved with the template. So anyone that uses the template will automatically get the limited set of colors that you want them to use. It's going to be great to define your brand inside of Flashissue. And the next feature we're going to add here is the image library. We're going to let you upload images into your own library and then use them again and again and again in your newsletters. Again, very powerful. And what's really nice about all these features is they're all included in team sharing options. So if you manage a team in Flashissue, you'll be able to add images to a team library of images and make sure everyone stays on point with your brand. You'll be able to set color palettes for your team and make sure they all use the correct colors. And you'll be able to share custom blocks. So for example, if you have a disclaimer block, you can make sure that everyone always uses the same text. It's going to make managing your brand in Flashissue much, much easier and more convenient. We're also going to improve our Chrome extension with better Gmail integration. First of all, we're going to support send as through Gmail in limited scenarios. We're going to explain how to use it. The second thing we're bringing is a Gmail sidebar. This is going to be really nice. I can't show it yet because it's really raw. It's not ready. But the way it's work, when you open a conversation in Gmail, then see a little sidebar at the right hand or left hand side of Gmail, and it will show you if the person you're communicating with right now, which newsletters they got from Flashissue, did they open them, did they click the links? So it's going to be like a mini subscriber specific report for the person that you're communicating with right now. We're going to do this in a very privacy centric way. We're not accessing your inbox in any way. We don't grab your data. We don't look at your emails. It's going to be really nice. And the third thing, again, this was a suggestion from Lan's webinar. We're going to add a little button in Gmail that when you're communicating with someone, when you have a conversation open, you'll just have a little button that says add this person to Flashissue as a contact, just like a quick add to Flashissue button. I think it's going to be really useful, especially if you're communicating a lot with your recipients after you send a newsletter. And that's really what's coming in 2021. Of course, we're going to have more features, but that's what I guarantee you'll get before the first quarter of 2021 ends. And of course, if you have more questions and more ideas for us, we're always happy to listen to them. Just contact us at support@flashissue.com. I know there's some holidays coming up. I'm Jewish, so we got Hanukkah coming up soon. I know Christmas is coming up. We provide support throughout the holidays. Don't worry about it. We never go on vacation. Well, not everyone at the same time anyway. So throughout Hanukkah and Christmas and New Year's, if something doesn't work, if you need assistance, just contact us at support@flashissue.com, and we're always here to help. And surprisingly, I'm right on time. So Maya, Karen, do we have more questions to answer right now, or are we good?
A couple more. Karen, do you want to take those?
Sure. Right, we have a couple of questions here. One from Sinina. She's asking, does this mean that we could choose a particular city when using custom lists, that only those in that area would get the message? I guess it's relating to one of your
yes. Yes, it does mean. So this is related to better lists, right? Adding custom fields, tags to subscribers. So yes, that's exactly what it means. So you'll be able to send newsletters to segments from a list. So you can say, send to everyone on this list, but only if they're from Georgia or from Chicago or from Houston.
Fantastic. Excellent. There's another question from Gabby here. She's asking, does inviting a teammate give them access to your drafts so that you can collaborate on the same newsletter?
No, it does not give them access to your drafts, but what you can do, you can share templates with a team. So let me just show that quickly. So if I have a newsletter here and I want this to become a template that my team can use, so they can start an email and get started with this template here, then I can click on design and say, save as a new template, and then just give it a name, surf template. And if I check this button here, save as team template, then anyone else on my team, when they click on the new email button, they can go to team templates and they'll be able to select this template and start a newsletter based on it. So while you don't have access to the drafts and you can't edit the same newsletter together, you can set templates and you can share them. I can say now that we are already looking into expanding those features. Since we don't have a clear roadmap yet, I don't want to commit to what kind of updates are going to be made. But as always, if you have ideas, if you want to explain a use case for us, it's easier for us to decide if we want to do something or not if we understand the use case. So if you just ask, can I share drafts with a team member? It doesn't give us a lot of context, but if you have a specific reason why you want to do that and you can explain it to us, it helps a lot, and it helps us decide if this is something that would be relevant for a large audience or if it's something that's only very specific to your account. And that's pretty much how we weigh new features. How many people are going to benefit from it? Because we can't add everything, but we want to make sure that we add the features that makes most sense for the most amount of users.
Okay, excellent. And Vidrale asked earlier, can more than one person work on the same email?
No, so that's pretty much the same question. So no, when an email is owned by a specific Flashissue account, it cannot be shared, and there's no collaborative editing options right now. We might look into it in the future, but this is not something that will come in the next few months.
Okay, great. Ella was talking about attaching a PDF. Did you, I know we've covered that in the past.
Yeah, I covered it in the last webinar, so I don't want to redo this, but maybe it's worth seeing that if you go to our YouTube channel and you click on the last webinar, then if you scroll down a bit and click on the show more link, there's Maya and Karen did an excellent job here, and you can jump directly to specific agenda items, and one of them is sharing documents right over here, just below, just before the Q&A, and here there's a full demo showing exactly how to get around the attachment issue with Flashissue, how to share documents using Google Drive or Dropbox and put them in your newsletter.
Excellent, excellent. Gabby's asking, once the team template is made, where does the teammate find it?
Okay, so once you've created a team template, any team member, when they click on the new email button, then on the left-hand side, you will see there's team templates, and all the team templates are going to be shown here. So that's how you find it.
Okay, and do you then save a template as a team template as opposed to a normal template?
Exactly. So when you save a newsletter as a template, you just enable this box here, save as team template, and it becomes a team template. And if you don't check this box here, then it's not shared with your team. As simple as that.
Excellent. Right, Vincent is saying here, anytime the email is opened, does it also reconcile the source of every device, like iPhones and other devices? Will it show as open? Not too sure. Do you understand what that means, Alon?
I think I do. I think we got this question last time as well. I think what he's asking is, can I see which device was used to open each
Right.
message? And that's part of the improvements for reports that we're going to bring early next year. So you'll be able to see if a message was opened on a mobile device or a desktop device. Sometimes you can even see if it's an Apple or an Android device, but it's definitely coming. Okay. I hope that was it. I hope that was the question.
Yeah, well, I think so. Let us know if it wasn't, please. Okay. Susie's just saying here, can I draft text in Microsoft Word and then copy and paste the text into Flashissue block?
Okay, yes, but you have to do it in a very specific way. And we have a couple of minutes. We have 1 minute. I'll try to show it. So the thing about email is that there's a very limited set of formatting options. So when I design a website, for example, I can do a lot of things. I can control every little thing on the screen. I can position everything exactly as I wanted, but that's not the case with email. With email, everything is very limited. Maybe I'll cover this on the next webinar if it's interesting. I'll explain the internals of how HTML or how code is designed for email. And I say this because when you copy and paste information from Microsoft Word or Google Docs, for that matter, there's a lot of formatting options that are just not viable for email. They're just not it won't work in email. So what you have to do before you copy, let me just, I'll just create a quick Google Doc here, and I'll just write some text and maybe format it a bit. There we go. We'll make all kinds of, formatting options, and maybe add a little table here just to make it messy. There we go. We have some stuff. Now, if I try to copy this, I'll just mark it all and copy and go back to Flashissue, add a text box and just paste it. Then it works. I know it looks like it works, but what happened here behind the scenes that Flashissue got a lot of code, behind the scenes code, that is not valid for email. And when you do that, it could really affect, ruin the email. So this email might not look correctly when it's delivered. So what you should do instead of what I just did, let me just delete this. Before you paste the text, and it's important, before you hit Control V or Command V, click on this button here, show more options. And then there's a button here with a little word icon here. It says paste from Word. You click this button, and then it tells you here, okay, now press Command V to paste. And only after clicking this button, I actually paste the text. And notice how it already looks different, right? It already looks different. It already looks like what I got from Google Docs, as opposed to how it looked like a minute ago. But notice what's happening here. You know, the table is too wide. It's really tricky to get this right. So you could do this, okay? You could design your email in Word and then paste it, but just keep in mind that you'll have to fix the formatting a bit, and always click on that special paste from Word button before pasting your text. If you've ever tried to do this and you ended up with a lot of gray squares around your content on all kinds of formatting mishaps, then it's probably because of this. It's probably because you did not click on this paste from Word button. We actually have a guide in our help site that explains this issue specifically. So if the person that asked the question did not understand this, please send us a message to support@flashissue.com, and I'll send back a link to the support article that explains how to use this.
Excellent. Well, that's the last of the questions that we've got. We've got lots of great feedback. Excellent again. Thank you so much, Alon. You're a great trainer.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliment, and thank you everyone for taking the time. We really appreciate it, and please keep sending us questions. The next live webinar will be on the first Tuesday of January 2021.